Welcome back.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Fireside Chats.
Yes, it's a bit of a fireside chat.
What was I going to say? I think we need a fireside chat more needed in Sydney than it is Brisbane, perhaps.
You
What
know,
would yours be? A
uh,
poolside, a poolside,
yeah,
a poolside ponder.
yeah, yeah, that could work. Yeah, it's pretty warm up here. Yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. So we were going to talk about customer experience and why customer experience is business critical, right? Because obviously working in the space that we do, we're always talking about customer experience, how to improve it, how to make it better, and why people should be bothered about it, right?
Yeah. Well, we're seeing with a lot of the major software platforms, they're redefining themselves as customer experience platforms rather than purely CRM, which is seen primarily as a sales tool. But there's not a lot of real explanation around like what customer experience is. So I thought we could maybe chat about what it actually means and
That's
how.
important.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. I think we both know that people shout about two things. People shout about a great experience, and people shout about a bad experience. But why they're important? I think that we know that a better experience, or we're told a better experience, equates to a higher price point or an easier price point. So I think that's obviously the first reason for businesses why it's so important.
yeah. Well, there's some good research on this that consumers are more likely to pay more, providing they're getting a better experience. So like between 1% and 25% more is the statistic that came from a PricewaterhouseCoopers report. So I guess that's one of the incentives when it comes to concentrating on delivering customers a good experience, is that those customers are prepared to pay more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I think about it, the services that I use, I think about my insurance. My car insurance was recently renewed, and it was seamless. To renew it was an easy click. They gave me a price comparison. It was all there for me. 3 clicks and I was done. It wasn't painful. It wasn't drawn out. They've got my business for another year. They've had it for 4 years. I'm not going to go anywhere because they make it so easy every year.
Yeah, I think if you can remove the friction and you can save people time and you make it easy for them, then I think there's lots of examples where all of us in our daily lives make decisions where it's not necessarily we're not necessarily buying on price, we're buying because of the convenience and we like dealing with the company. So I think if for businesses wanting to protect and increase their margins. In fact, I guess news from this week was Apple, I noticed, has had like record profits and like a 42.6% gross margin. So of every $1 billion that Apple turns over, they're keeping nearly half of it in margin. And like if there's one company that really knows how to deliver a good experience, it's them. And they're showing, and we all know that we're paying more for an iPhone than what we do for an Android device, but we're paying for that because largely because of the experience that they provide.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to the other end of the scale, the poor experience.
Yeah.
People will run. I know for a fact. I've had experiences in various different areas of my life where I will just not return. I don't care what you do; it's terrible. Certain banks I've banked with. My current bank is ING. They make everything seamless. I used to be with another bank, which I won't name. Everything was terrible. It was painful. Nobody ever knew when I spoke to them what I was speaking to them about. They never retained any of my information. I hated it. And I will shout it from the rooftop about my poor experience.
Yeah. Poor experiences will drive customers away. The statistics are from a PwC report again, quoting a couple of stats from this report, is around 19% of people will likely leave a company after a single bad experience, and almost 60% would leave after a few lackluster or poor experiences. So, you really need to make sure that you know that your business is not dropping the ball when you're interacting with your existing customers, because if it's not convenient for them to deal with you and they're having those poor experiences, then you're going to churn, and you might be bringing in new customers in the top of the funnel, but if they're leaking out the bottom, then it's not really helping the business grow.
Yeah. I mean, what goes into it, right? From our perspective, what makes a great customer experience? I think for me, making it feel like, for me, it's super efficient and seamless is great. But obviously from a business perspective, on the inside, there's a lot of work that goes into creating seamlessness.
Yeah, well, I think, according to the research, there's a couple of things that customers use to define what a good experience is. So one of those is creating efficiencies. So sometimes I think there's a bit of a misnomer around customer experience, is that you need to be doing something that's going to really wow people, or something that's sort of a bit out of the box. Well, it's not really what the research is telling us. It's that one key area is just to make efficiencies, try and save people time in the way that they interact with your business. And another one is giving them choices on how to proceed. So giving them options. And also personalizing things. So rather than giving them sort of standard range of offers, if you're doing some sort of promotion, that you would send things that are more tailored to them. So you think about it, like if they're just sort of spamming you with marketing material of things you've already bought, or things that are clearly not relevant to you, that's not really a great experience. Whereas if it's always stuff that's quite relevant to your needs, well, then you're more likely to pay attention and engage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I think about it as from a sugar perspective, one of the things that we implement with lots and lots of businesses alongside yourself, Darren, is the customer journey piece, right? Understanding your customer journey, having a defined customer journey, and making sure that that experience is very similar and exactly as you want it to be. There is nothing worse than having a breakdown in that journey and watching a customer fall out of that gap. So the customer journey piece is a useful tool, I think, that a lot of businesses could benefit from using.
Yeah, I think you want to, as a business, you want to understand how your customers are dealing with you at different points in time. So when they're, perhaps shopping, or perhaps, as a prospect, looking at engaging with your business through to the point where they're implementing whatever you may have sold them, and then using that product over time. They're going to be interested in different things. So, and probably dealing with different people within your organization. So you need to sort of think about those touch points. But one of the things that is important as well to consider is, obviously there's digital touch points. They're perhaps, sending emails in or getting marketing materials sent to them, but really thinking about how they interact with people. So the human experience or the human interaction is really regarded as being very important for very influential on a customer experience. So a good conversation with somebody who really understands them and can recall past conversations and has access to all the right information can have a really strong effect on the customer experience outcome that customer has. Much more so than perhaps a well-targeted email. So although digital is an important part, making sure that people, staff within your business have the information that they need in order to be able to provide those good, and the tools that they need in order to provide those good customer experiences and interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just as you were talking that, it made me think of internet service providers. So my old provider, one phone line, you'd ring them up, you'd get a different person every time. When I moved house, I changed services. Anyway, I was having some issues, and so they accelerated me through to the right department. It was great. I dealt with a guy, he was fantastic. And then he ensured that I had their details to get direct to him.
Yeah.
Now, what should have been a bad experience because my internet wasn't working was a good one because of the interaction I had with him. And the things that they'd done their side as a business to ensure that I was getting through to the right person quickly made my experience far better. My other provider, I didn't have any issues with it. Just getting hold of people was painful. So essentially, I was happy to pay for a worse service because my experience was better.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make any sense when you think about it. but I knew I could get the right person when I wanted to, which was great.
Yeah. Well, I think in some ways for businesses, particularly as they're sort of scaling up, it's not really that practical to try and get customers to have like one-on-one relationships with people in the business, depending on the type of scenario. If it's a sales scenario for a high-value business-to-business type situation, well, then they're typically going to be dealing with the same person a lot more. But if it's sort of more of a high-volume, support tickets and things like that, then it's difficult to ensure that the same person is going to be available to deal with them every time. I think that the thing though that you want as the experience is that it's connected. That you hear a lot of people complain where you are dealing every time you get someone else on the phone, you've got to re-explain what the situation is. Whereas you really don't mind if somebody else can pick up the ball from the last person from where it was. So they've read the notes on the call and they understand what's going on and they can progress things, and you're not having to start from scratch again. So I think people accept that they're dealing with different people, but they want a consistent customer experience, particularly in those areas around customer support. But even when you're an existing customer and there's new people coming in, you want that. You don't want to have to be retraining your suppliers when you're the customer. You expect them to know, to be providing value back to you, and to know, to have read their notes and to be up to speed with what you're using and what your needs are.
Yeah, very true. It makes me think of one of our customer service examples or great use cases and case studies, the backcountry story, where they implemented sugar. It was incredibly successful. It's a great case study to read for people. But what actually happened was one of their customer service people, which they call gearheads because they sell outdoor equipment, actually ended up going to a customer's wedding because they formed such a close bond and the customer experience was so good. That's what came out the other end, a wedding invite.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a long way to go for a free feed and a few drinks, but why not?
Well, they're an interesting example because they're going the extra mile with their customer experience. So they've got like an online store, my understanding is, and there's people that are buying that, but it's supported by product specialists behind the scenes, and they can see what their customers are doing with their online purchases. But those technical consultants are reaching out to those customers, providing specialist advice. And also sort of recommending other things that might be complementary of what they can do, and providing sort of like a really high quality customer experience that you might get in an in-store experience, but they're doing it from a
digital perspective.
A remote sort of like they could be working from home these days, those people, and with a website and a work from home workforce, you can still provide that sort of really sort of personalized customer experience that you would traditionally only expect to get in store. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that with online retail. People looking to complement the digital with the human, interaction.
That's right. It's like going to you have all these. You're into cycling, right? So you have the big mega stores of cycling, then you have the small local store where you get that personalised service. What Backcountry have done have turned that small local service store into a much bigger and more successful business than your mum and dad pop shop next door.
100%, and you do go to the local store because you go, if I've got a problem, I can take it in there. If I've got any questions, I can talk it through. I don't know exactly what I want, I can get some advice. All those sorts of things that you don't necessarily get with digital. Well, you can do that these days, and people are more than willing to do that remotely. You can do it via chat. You can do it via phone. You could do it via email. You could do it, via Zoom. So there's multiple ways to deliver those human interactions with the customer experience. So I think there's a big opportunity for businesses to be thinking about how they do combine the digital and the human aspects of how they manage those customer interactions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're talking about Sugar Serve a lot here, and obviously Sugar Serve, and we've got now the Amazon Connect piece as well, which is making things even more seamless and interactive for people. So that's an exciting thing that if people are looking to purchase sugar and work with sugar, or existing customers, they can now utilize Amazon technology to take it even further, and make things even more seamless, especially with the work from home situation that a lot of us globally and locally are finding ourselves in, right?
Yeah, I think the tools need to be offering chat. I think more and more people are wanting to sort of not pick up the phone. They want to have like a chat. We're all used to using WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or Instagram to do instant messaging between our friends and family. Well, I think recently people want to do that with companies and with brands. And if you can have interact with your clients in that way, then again you're making things a lot easier and streamlined and more convenient for those customers. And something as simple as that is improving the customer experience.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Very important piece. Very exciting piece. So I think that'll wrap it up. I'm obviously here in San Francisco, so I'm going to go and do some sightseeing and leave you to a lovely warm Brisbane.
Okay, mate. See you next week.
See you next week, Darren. Bye.